We're back. Michael Knowles, you're heartbroken, right?
I gotta tell you, I was traveling for the last few days. I just got back last night. Is there anything in the news?
Nah,
Has anything happened?
Slow day.
Slow day, huh? Okay. I'll figure something to talk about on my show, I guess.
Rachel Maddow was crying. That was sad.
I remember I was there. Yeah, I remember.
That's right. We never see you two together.
I switched my alter ego so that I got the tears on the glasses.
Trump did not commit treason. I don't know. It's just like
no, our country's not in the throes of a foreign takeover.
These guys are unbelievable. The press is trash. They are trash. And
as I was preparing what we were going to talk about today, I think we should just scrap it and I should just dance on the table or something. If it weren't so Beto O'Rourke-esque, I think I would do it. What a fabulous conclusion in the last 2 years.
And everything Trump said turned out to be true, which I knew. I've been saying it myself. I mean,
I know. He uses the best words, first of all, and he's got more credibility than the entire mainstream media.
There's just no question about it.
How crazy is that?
I know.
Donald Trump, a tabloid, he's Donald Trump, has more journalistic integrity than the entire mainstream media.
It is amazing. And what I like is I would like to go back to that New York Times story that had the calendar of how many times he criticized the investigation and just check off how many times he was right. Yeah. You know? Every time. Anyway, let's talk about another area of corruption. Because I asked you to watch, I haven't gotten a chance to watch this yet, but it really sounds good. I asked you to watch this thing about Michael Jackson. What's it called?
It's called Leaving Neverland.
Leaving Neverland.
This is an HBO documentary. It is by far the best thing you've ever had me watch. The trouble is, because you're a sadist, it's also disgusting and horrifying and really tough to watch.
Unbelievable.
It is... So you watch it, it's a very good film, it lays things out very clearly. You realize about halfway in, this is not a documentary about Michael Jackson.
Okay.
This is not a documentary about pedophilia. This is not a documentary. This is a documentary about celebrity. And it's a documentary about our relationship to celebrity.
Which is essentially what we're talking about, because celebrity has corrupted the press because they can use it to hide what they should be covering, which is policy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What do we know? I mean, I won't go into the 5 hours of this document, 2 parts and all of this. Multiple little kids accuse Michael Jackson of doing exactly the same thing to them. We know for a fact he would take these boys, he'd spend a year with them. He'd sleep in the same bed with them 30 consecutive nights in a row or more. We know that he would befriend the families. He would push the kids away from the families. He would invite them to Neverland. He'd have the parents stay in a guest house all the way across the property. He'd have the kids in his bed. We know that he lined up the hallways to his bedrooms with bells so that when people were approaching, he could hear that they were approaching. Cameras, multiple locks. We know he kept porn and images of naked boys in his room. They found the fingerprints of the boys on the pornography. We know all of this. And yet, not until 2019, and even still, there were people who say, no, he didn't do it. It was a setup.
How did he avoid conviction?
How did he get the kids in the first place?
Yeah,
I mean, even before you get to the conviction.
Yes, good point.
But it's the same answer, which is people were utterly enthralled with him. And it's actually hard for us to understand this today, especially for millennials who grew up, in the 90s or even 2000s.
Yeah.
We're living in a reality TV culture. We're living in an age basically without movie stars. We're living in an age where people who were once inaccessible to us, where we'd lift up our heads to look at them on the big screen. Right. Now they come to us on our phones and they say stupid things and we hate them. And we hate all the movie stars and they're so human. Michael Jackson was not human. He didn't look like a human. He didn't move like a human. He didn't grow up like a human. He was, there's no comparison of a musical celebrity.
I mean, he was essentially a ride at Disneyland. They put that movie at Disneyland and you went and saw it and it was enormous.
Yes, that was him. And so these parents in the movie talk about this. They say, we just loved being around Michael. He would call them up. He would ask to go to their homes. He would ask to have the little boys sleep in his bed for however long at a time. And they would say, yeah, we really liked going there. He had a lovely wine cellar, and he would give us all of his nice wine. In all of these cases, the fathers were not really a part of their kids' lives.
No fathers, because a father would have punched his light out.
Even a bad father would have punched his light out. I mean, the best article on this, of any of the think pieces, was from your sister-in-law.
It was.
In the Atlantic.
She was great. It's worth looking up. Caitlin Flanagan.
Caitlin Flanagan in the Atlantic.
It's beautifully written and it's wonderfully observed. My favorite part of it, by the way, was the opening 2 paragraphs where she talks about, in this documentary, the camera swooping down on this house like Peter Pan, who chose his houses because by finding the people who believed in him. And that's exactly what he did. Yeah.
That's exactly what he did. And it does, in a way, connect to all of the news today about the Mueller investigation, which you wonder, how did people for 2 years, how did some people seriously believe Donald Trump was Boris and Natasha from Rocky and Bull? How did they really believe he was a Russian spy? The fantasy cracks. How did people convince themselves that this behavior from Michael Jackson, which went on for years and years and years, he holding hands with little boys, sleeping with them, how did they convince themselves
it's amazing.
that this was normal behavior? Chris Rock talks about this. He said, we love Michael Jackson so much. We gave him one little boy.
Yeah.
We gave him one, and then he kept going back to, and we were in that fantasy too. This is not just about Michael. This is still going on today, and it's incumbent on us to crack that fantasy, or we're going to keep letting terrible things happen, terrible crimes happen, and keep divorcing ourselves from the reality that's right in front of us.
When you talk about this investigation, the Mueller investigation, and these things are connected because they are about celebrity and they are about focusing on personality rather than focusing on the things that matter, because we all have personalities, we all have corruption, we all have things about ourselves we don't like, and that we're all fallen people and all this, but really it is always about policy. But when you look at this, you think like, I'm not an insider. I wasn't talking to Mueller. I was just reading the information, and I'm not Sean Hannity. If I had thought Trump was colluding with Russia, I would have said so. I mean, I don't mean to down talk Sean, but he always backs Trump. But I don't always back Trump. If he was doing something wrong, I'd have said so. It was obvious that this was a fantasy. About I would say about 3-4 months ago, it just became obvious that it was a complete fantasy, and I started to say that into the mic, right? How did these people keep that fantasy alive? It just is indicative of how much people can live in their own heads.
And they're making excuses now.
Yes.
When the doomsday cultists are waiting, the end of the world is going to happen, they're all waiting, the end of the world doesn't happen. What do? Do they abandon the cult? No, they double down.
That's right. And the thing that got me about this is that Barbara Streisand's comment. And she said basically, what did she say? These kids wanted to do this? And
she said, look, they're married now. One of them's got a kid. They're fine. It didn't kill them. And they said Michael Jackson had sexual needs.
Right. So his sexual needs were his sexual needs. So now, my point about this is Barbara Streisand makes a lot of political comments, and her political comments are covered. When somebody says that, they're erased for me. They're ashes in terms of reputation. When you say a child being molested, I mean, is there some place? There's got to be some place we draw the line. And listen, I haven't seen the documentary, but I read about it, and the stuff they're talking about is as graphic and as horrible as the worst thing you can imagine, right? And she says that. It raises the question, why did we ever listen to anything she says? These people who are actors and dancers and singers, God knows they're blessed. I mean, they have incredible talent. Michael Jackson had incredible talent, one of the best dancers I've ever seen. But that doesn't make them moral characters. It doesn't make them spokesmen of anything. We used to lock up our daughters when they came to town. Now we give them, why are they on TV being asked about politics?
I think the two are related. I think being a Democrat is basically having a modern day indulgence. Indulgences still exist, but in the way that in the culture, the way we talk about indulgences, that is what it is to be a Democrat, because you hear Barbara Streisand on her soapbox all the time, moral preening. And then to defend child molestation, and to defend it clearly and undeniably.
Yeah, we should mention she apologized.
She apologized,
but still,
there was no ambiguity. It was a gaffe in the sense that a gaffe is when you say what you really think.
Exactly.
And she did that. But what we see with all of these preening politicians, all of these preening celebrities who talk about left-wing politics, is there is this kind of cover-up, this patina, this facade to cover up and a worldview that is utterly depraved, that gives leeway to moral depravity.
And I'm sorry, because I don't want to sound like a Democrat here, but there's a racial element to this. If these were the kids of the people who cheated their way into university, those rich white kids, it wouldn't even have occurred to Barbara Streisand to say that. It's the fact that they're little black kids nobody really cares about.
Right,
you know,
right.
Nobody gives it.
And or even the family. I mean, some of the kids are white. You know, the families lived in these little middle class.
They were nobody.
They were nobody in the middle of nowhere.
It really is appalling. So anyway, what are you going to? You have nothing to talk about.
I don't know what I'm going to talk about today. I just don't know.
Do you want to borrow my Trump happiness montage?
I think that's going to be the whole day. I mean, I've basically been writing today's show for the past 2 years. I was sitting middle seat in the back of coach yesterday on my airline.
Yeah.
I had the best flight of my life, reading the reaction, tweeting, because there were two scandals. There's the political scandal of all of this, and there's the media scandal. And the media scandal is the greater one.
I agree. And buried in the media scandal is the Department of Justice scandal. Which is not being covered. I mean, it's amazing. It's great to see you.
Good to see you.
All right.